Good afternoon. It is August 24th, 2026. You're listening to a little column A, little column B, hosted by Will Alimonos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How are we doing today, buddy?
What is going on, Will? We made it. We made it. February, we got through it all summer. We are here. Your favorite week. It is week 0. This Saturday, there will be real college football on your televisions. We have 8 games. They start at noon. There's even a ranked team, USC, ranked number 14 in the country. They're playing at 3 o'clock this Saturday. If you're interested in college football, it is there for you. If you are just an NFL fan, but you're like, it has been so long. It has been months and months and months. I just need a little bit of an appetizer, but it's still a few weeks away from NFL. You will get that. You will get that this Saturday. They were smart. They spaced it out. Starts at noon. Next game's at 10. So if you want to do stuff during the day, but you still want to check it out later, you want to stay up late, it is there for you. Football is back, Will. It's back for you. It's back for me.
I'm ready for games to start counting. This preseason stuff. I don't know. Why do we waste our time for this? I'm amazed they put this on TV. I'm ready for games to matter. Week 0, at least this game counts, right? This is week 0, but the games, they count, right? They count for the regular season.
The college games, these are real games. These are not scrimmages. These are not exhibitions. These count. They're going to be in the record books. I agree with you on the preseason games. They brought it down from 4 to 3. I mean, some of the starters are playing, but there's a good chunk of the teams that you're not seeing the ones at all. And I think you're kind of half joking, like, why did they put this on TV? It's like, well, it's football. They're going to put it on. It's going to do better than anything else. But it is, a little bit frustrating of, you got to go watch your team and go, oh, well, none of these guys are going to really be in the mix and be a huge impact on the team. So it's just guys wearing the uniform, but these aren't the guys. These aren't the guys we're going to see. And I don't know what's happened recently. That it just seems like there's no guys out there.
It's not very watchable. There are mistakes and situations that happen in these preseason games that I don't think are happening at, let's say, modestly advanced high school football levels. That like they would be embarrassed. You'd be running laps for a lot of the stuff that happens regularly throughout this entire preseason. And I know they're just scrambling. They're just seeing what they got out there with everybody. But I just wish it would replicate like a game that both teams cared about a little bit. And maybe they're screaming at me like this is what that looks like. And it's just not very good. And we're very close to the games mattering, and that makes a huge difference. But these don't scratch the itch at all for me anymore. Like this is bad.
I've taken my own advice of rather than watching and being disappointed and then coming on the podcast or talking to people and saying, oh, this is terrible football, this and that. Just like, I haven't made it a priority. It's like, okay, cool. If Drake May isn't playing, all right, we're not taking this seriously. I am not going to make sure that I have this set aside. So just the same with the with the other ones. If I'm not doing anything, maybe it's on in the background, but I think I'm going to be good to wait until Saturday. Wait till games that count, and then, the real games for NFL are just right around the corner. I'll be there for them.
There are so many games anyways. There's enough games. I don't think we need to start now. I'm excited for the season to start, but I wish the games that counted would just start now. I hate the tease of this nonsense in the preseason. Also, the other thing, you watch, do you still watch the show? I'm blanking on the name. The NFL show, like week to week. They follow the team. Hard Knocks.
Yeah, they've shortened that. They've made that softer as well. They don't show the cuts anymore, but it's still worth it to me. It's once a week. I think it used to be 5. It might even be less than that now. It's just a little flavor, and it's still fun. Still stuff. It's cool to see the behind the scenes. Interesting how this year they have the Seahawks were just like coming off of a Super Bowl and expected to be good this year, where I feel like in the past it's been really bad teams. That's kind of been part of Hard Knocks, is if you're good, you don't have to go on Hard Knocks. And so just interesting to see how they're able to kind of manipulate you with the reality television of it and go, wow, they got this like new coach in here. And man, it seems like things are going really well. And then you watch the season, this was terrible. Where this is a successful organization, and just trying to figure out like what are the differences between a successful organization and a not successful in a 1-hour reality television show.
I think when Hard Knocks was at its best, there was players that were cut that would then get picked up by other teams, and you would have this sort of background with them. We're in a weird like college era right now where there are guys that may get cut. I'm not saying they were on this show, but they could have potentially been on this show. That may be returning to college and could be playing for those teams, and that there's a new set of eyes watching a lot of this preseason, and it's not NFL people. Is that just going to be just this year, or is that just a weird? Like, if anything, it feels like Hard Knocks is more for these college coaches than anything now.
I don't think that the coaches are watching Hard Knocks for that, but I think that there is a real possibility that this continues, that you as a college coach are watching preseason games and watching guys and saying, hey, could we get him at our school? I think that's very, very possible.
That's crazy. It makes sense. I mean, if you're not good enough to make the NFL team, I get it. It's just a weird timing thing, and I don't think anyone's truly accepted that. It feels very wrong, but it's also what do you think should happen? Do you think this player that then didn't make the NFL and in some weird legality has 1 year of eligibility left shouldn't be allowed to then return? Like, there's no real perfect answer to any of this, but like, would you rather an alternative, or do you have an issue with maybe players returning?
I think most of this is it's changed, and so things have been a certain way for 60 years, and so this is different, and so the initial just knee jerk is, oh no, this is bad, this is terrible. But I'm coming into it, it's like, how's this really impact me? All right, guy thought that he was going to make the NFL. Oh, that is not going to happen. Yeah, go back and play college. You can make some NIL. You're not just going on to the next chapter. I don't know why people are so upset about it. It seems like it's coming from the coaches. I understand it's more work for them, but figure it out. You're getting paid millions of dollars. You have staff. All right, carve a little niche out in your staff that goes and looks. There are a couple of guys that I'm hearing about. I don't know if any of them have actually done this yet, but again, this is a lot of people talking about just such a small amount, where the majority of guys, like, this isn't impacting. It's not impacting these players. They're out of college eligibility, or they're going to the NFL and they're done with college. And so they're either going to make the NFL team, or they're just saying, hey, football was fun. I'm going to do something else. All of us at some point have to move on from playing the sport. Some of it's much earlier than others. So to me, it doesn't bother me personally.
I think that there's a competitive advantage that's assumed, and I think it could be argued, but it's also, if it's such a competitive advantage, this guy wasn't good enough to make the NFL. Like, what are you really adding still? Like, it might not be anything. It seems unfair because it's an experienced player, and I'm sure in the right situation, there's absolutely an advantage to that. But I think until we start naming names, and it was like, well, you wouldn't have won until blank. I'm not really going to get up in arms about this. This is a whole bunch of situations that haven't even happened yet that we're worried about. It might not work. I hate to bring the Kawhi thing into this, but it's the same thing. It was like, well, it didn't work. Yeah, I was wrong, but it didn't work. It was real
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. Allegedly. All right, we said we were going to talk some NFL today. Let's do a little NFC South predictions. We'll do the AFC after. Was there one that was more fun for you? Because we could start with that one.
I think that the AFC South was slightly better at the top.
All right, we'll close with that. Maybe we'll catch a little bit of momentum with this, because some of these teams are just it seems stereotypical to be like, yeah, the teams of the South are a mess. Like, none of these teams are really Super Bowl contenders. Any of these teams could finish last. Any of these teams could finish first. Is anything there to change your mind of this sort of stereotype of this division? Like, who's the real Super Bowl contender in the NFC South?
None.
Nobody.
Nobody. I mean, we go through these divisions and we're looking at, we would talk about who we think can win it, who we think is all the way, for sure going to lose it. And there's other divisions that we've talked about where you definitely have a team at the top and they're in the mix for a Super Bowl. For the NFC South, I mean, all these teams are going to be like mediocre to bad. I mean, just let me just read the quarterbacks in this division: Baker Mayfield, Tua, Bryce Young, and Tyler Shuck. It's like, we know in the NFL, to be successful, you at least have to have an above average quarterback. At least you have to start there. I think I would put Baker Mayfield in the above average. I think that's fair, but does get banged up. and has like hot streaks and cold streaks. Maybe you can give Tyler Shuck an incomplete right now. I think there's a lot of buzz from last year, but he came in and I think it had a lot more to do with expectations. You're coming in for Spencer Rattler. As long as you can basically tie your shoes, like, oh man. But if you're expecting Super Bowl, I think it's gonna be a disappointment. And I think for Tua and Bryce Young, I think we've seen enough that these guys are not above average quarterbacks.
The crossroads of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at is I think a nightmare if you're a GM. Where Baker's asking for money, Vito's asking for a trade at this point because he's not getting money, and you could pay those guys, and I think you could be arguably in control of this division. But where are you going after all that? And then you could not pay these guys, and now you have no chance. Now you're in jeopardy of possibly finishing last of this division, and it's like, well, now we're just go back to the draft. We're just going to start all over again. This is a tough spot to be in. I would not want to be Tampa Bay this year. There's too much pressure on everybody. And if they pay them all up front and they don't deliver, that's going to look like a huge mistake. If they deliver and then they pay them, some of these guys may just ask to be out next year anyways, or they just won't resign and then they'll leave. Which
I
is
think that Baker is a well liked guy, but do you think he should have been paid? No, none of the teams in this division finished with a over 500 record last year.
no. I don't look. Has he done enough for Tampa Bay to really earn the contract? Probably not. And like, yeah, all right, you made us competitive, but who are you really competing against, as you just said? So, like, I understand all of that, but all right, if we don't pay him and we hit the reset button, what are we doing instead? We're not playing to win this year. Like, that's the weird thing to it. Is like the season's going to start and they haven't decided if they're playing to win this year. Because if you're willing to win, you're going to pay these guys.
That's where I can see why the Bucs were hesitant to pay him. I don't think this was a situation of them being cheap or this or that. It's you won 8 games last year. Like he's a guy out there. Like I said, I think he's an above average quarterback, but I don't think it's a guy you need to back up the the Brinks truck for. And if it does turn into no, he's all upset and he's going to leave. Okay. Oh no, we dropped from 8 and 9, and then we won 6 games as we're trying to figure this out.
I hear there's some quarterbacks going to be in this draft upcoming. Potentially, who knows? Maybe they'll stay in college forever. It's a trend I can't entirely predict. What I did predict is I had Tampa Bay second in this division. I did not have them winning this division. I just don't like the vibes, and while there's certainly potential out there, everything just being fixed before then, I think this is too soon to the season to not have these sort of things figured out. And sure, Baker plays better with a chip on his shoulder. Like we're like manipulating that to our benefit. Like that doesn't seem to always benefit the team, right? Like, do you think this is gonna work? We're gonna threaten not to pay this guy so he plays harder for us. Like that's the strategy we're going into this year. I think there's no chance this team wins, but I do think they will still be too competitive and everyone else is too much of a mess that they'll still finish second. Where did you have Tampa Bay finishing in the NFC South?
I have them at 1. I mean, just based on the quarterbacks. I think that the end of last season was very rough, but someone is going to win these games when they play each other a whole bunch of times. Like I said, I think the whole division is going to be bad, but someone is going to come out on top. It turned into a 3-way tie at 8 and 9 last year, but I think the Bucs are just slightly better. I think this is going to be Todd Bowles' last year, but I think they got a little more of skill position guys than the rest of them. Who? So you have the Bucs at 2. Who do you have at 1?
I put the Saints at 1. That's the only team that's
Saints at 1. I just think the Shuck train is going too fast.
I don't think it needs to go that much faster for them to be effective. I think if anything, that's what it proved last year. He could get better, or he could be exactly like he was last year, and I think they could still win. It's don't be bad, which is something the rest of the quarterbacks in this division have a really hard time avoiding. Once they throw that interception, it's loosey-goosey from there on. And if Shuck can just take care of the ball, and they can run the ball, and he can run the ball, and he can stay healthy, which I think is also a fair knock on him, is if he is going to be forced to run the ball, I'm not sure he'll stay healthy the whole year. But I am at least embracing a team that had momentum last year, where the vibes are at least good, and we're just at least acting like we're going in the right direction. All these other teams, I'm not sure, man. Like the vibes in Tampa are weird. You could argue Jacksonville is a worse team this year, despite building off of their momentum from last year. But I'm I'm not entirely sold on a lot of things going on over there, but I just like the vibes in New Orleans, and that's enough. When you only got to overcome 8 wins to even have a shot at this, I'm going with that. I'm taking slightly better vibes over every other disaster in this division. It's not a good argument, but I mean, all of these teams could win. All of these teams could finish last. Like we're arguing between 6 wins and 8 wins here is really what it's coming down to.
It seems like it's really a coin flip in this division.
All right, so you had Tampa 1. Where did you have New Orleans?
I'm gonna go with New Orleans at 2, but I think this is all very close. I'm interested with the Falcons with Kevin Stefanski coming in, but it's just if you're throwing Tua out there, and it's not like your backup is a for sure thing, or all right, we'll just have Tua out there for a little bit because we got this. I guess Penix is a younger guy, but kind of what we saw from him didn't look so great. But I mean, Tua, when was the last time he looked even passable, let alone good? And so it just, as much as I would like to think, hey, a new coach coming in could maybe make some things happen with these skill position players. They got Drake London, they got all these other guys, but I think if you have Tua at quarterback, I just don't see how that could be successful.
I refuse to buy into any of these alleged weapons on Atlanta. I'll give you Bijan, fantastic running back, maybe one of the best in the league, getting paid so. That's fine, no argument there. You're not going to sell me on Drake London. I'd not even do year whatever of Kyle Pitts. It's over. It didn't happen.
This is the year. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. This time.
And the worst part about it is that we always bring up all of the names I just said, and not one person ever mentions how bad the defense is going to be for Atlanta this year. That's the biggest red flag. I think there's other red flags for Carolina. Sure, we could pick whatever problems you got with their quarterback, but at least they have the same quarterback that they've had for the past couple of years, and at least they have somewhat of a defense that is trying to get better. I don't think Atlanta tried to get better. This is a weird thing. I think they are quietly tanking. I think this is a team that is not trying to win this year. And if you were, the idea of having Tua and Penix, like no fantasy player would sign off on this, let alone a true NFL GM in real life is going into the season with Tua and Penix, thinking that somehow, even if they're good, that they'll also be healthy is the other crazy assumption. There's no way either of those guys stay healthy. Who's going to play more games this year out of Tua and Penix?
I'm going to guess Tua only because he's the one that's starting the year. But I mean, I'd put the odds as close, and whoever even like the third guy is.
I would bet on the third guy playing more games than both of these guys, and it's not even out of poor play; it's out of injury. I just where's the pattern that I'm going to be wrong with this? These guys have only been injured and barely successful. I'm not a buyer in the weapons, and I don't think these are the quarterbacks to turn around these alleged weapons in Kyle Pitts and Drake London as well. The ship has sailed. These guys are tanking. They're signing up for the draft next year. I don't know who's available, but they're getting one of those guys, and because of that, I got Carolina at 3. It's not a fun 3.
See, I don't really think that any of these teams can tank, because I think all of these teams are so bad that they're going to lose to each other, where I think there's teams in other divisions that are better that might be even trying harder to win, but they're going to lose because the teams in their division are better.
I would be most shocked if Atlanta won the division. If somehow Tua or Penix was successful this year. I could see Bryce having another year. They won last year. That's fine. I could see that happening.
I would agree. Yeah.
I could see Baker doing it. I could see Shuck doing it. I can't see Tua or Penix being successful in this. There's enough talent there that maybe if they made a move for somebody else, they could still pull it off. But I don't think like they're starting the year with the 2 wrong guys, and I'm saying that they could still win this if they got any of these other 2 guys. It's not a good way to go in the division. It's a bad vibe over here. All right, so we both got New Orleans potentially finishing last. Or, I'm sorry, not New Orleans. Atlanta finishing last. Going into next season, if they finish last, do you think they will make a change at the coaching position or the quarterback position?
Quarterback. They just got a new head coach, and unless Penix shows something, I'm still kind of baffled that I think 2 weeks ago, if you had asked me, hey, is Tua still in the league? I would have said no. And I for sure would have been if you had said, oh no, I think he's playing for the Falcons. I've been like, oh, okay, so they're probably gonna start Penix, and I guess he's a backup, and that's where he's moved on to in his career. So Man, I just can't imagine being an Atlanta fan going into the season being like, awesome. We got this guy from Miami that has been terrible and hurt for years.
Well, I was going to say this till we talk. I might as well bring this up now. I was going to talk about it during the Deshaun Watson starter announcement later today, but the idea of announcing these starters and where we throw our hands up in the air, being like, oh, I don't know, I can't believe he beat him out in the quarterback competition or whatever it was. These teams aren't going anywhere, and these guys aren't turning it around. If anything, to me, it's just like this guy's getting sent out there to just take the hits until they can put the guy in they really want to put in. Like, they're just putting Deshaun out there to take all these hits, and this might be a similar situation where they're just putting Tua out there to take whatever hits that, the next guy is supposed to take. And maybe that's strategy, maybe that's not. I don't know. You think Tua's just going to go out there and take a bunch of hits until Penix is ready? It's not the worst idea.
Yeah, that's what I think so.
I think the same thing in Cleveland. Like, what are we getting out of Deshaun this year?
But I think both situations are similar, where there's really no good option. Like, I think we are probably putting more of the strategy into it than probably even exists. Hey, here is the pool of guys that we have. None of them are good. At some point, we have to pick one of them, and they have to go out, and they're the ones that are going to have to play a position.
All right, fantasy time. Are there any fantasy players you would draft in this division?
So for fantasy buys, I have, for the Bucs, I have Bucky Irving at 41. I have Bijan Robinson for the Falcons at 2. I have Jonathan Brooks at 99 for the Panthers. I have Travis. See, he used to be ETN, and he's been in the league for a while. This is not even his first team, but now we're finding out that ETN is actually pronounced HN. Good luck with that one. That's gonna be tough. And now you got a Tyler Show that's pronounced Shuck and an ETN that's pronounced HN on the same team. Okay, so those then that HN Travis HN is at 37. So those are my buys.
The league needs to come back as a show and just have fun with this name pronunciation stuff and the spelling. Like, I remember, what was it, Cam Jordan, Jordan Cam? They screw, you drafted the wrong Jordan, or
oh, from the league. Yeah. I mean, that's just, those were the actual guys' names. They were just reversed. I just don't get it. It's not like this is 1980 and the NBA scout went out to someplace in Asia and found a guy and brought him over, and then you've never heard of him. Like, these guys, you're at least playing relatively high D1 where you have announcers. So, like, I just don't get how you can have people pronouncing your name or mispronouncing your name for this long, and then and now it comes up. How is this not, like, when you get drafted, there must be a way that they get it to the commissioner or whoever after the day one or first round to say, like, this is how your name is pronounced. And so how where's the missing link here?
I think this is an organizational failure. I think he finally got to a team that asked. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like he introduced himself and they were like, "Oh, have we been saying it wrong?" He's like, "Yeah, I introduced it the same way to every other team, and they just ran with it the other way. It's fine." It's like, it's not fine.
But that's crazy. That's crazy. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars. There's a salary cap. At the very least, like, you just get the guy's name right. I mean, this should happen. This should happen everywhere. If you have a last name that the way that it's spelled and pronounced is not immediately known. I mean, imagine if you, and I'm not talking about a one-off interaction. Sure, you're somewhere, it's a networking event. The guy mispronounces your name. All right, whatever. You just move on. But if you were at work and you introduced yourself and then someone later on said it wrong, wouldn't you correct them?
Yeah, I think in this situation, I think in the situation where announcers were going to be regularly saying my name, podcasters were going to be regularly saying my name is going to be read and just announced enough that I think they should know it's pronounced like this. And I don't think you should have any problem correcting it either. Like, I understand it being uncomfortable for a social encounterment like you just described, but for all of this, one press conference, like, it's this, and we're all on board. Who's saying no?
These announcers, it's their job. I don't think they're looking at it going, let me just guess at this guy's name. I'm sure it'll be fine. No, this is professional. Like, these guys are professionals. I'm sure they want to have it right. I'm sure they feel a little silly right now where they're going saying, hey, we got this from their PR team, and it tells you exactly how to phonetically say, like, how for all of these names.
My fantasy list of players I would draft in this division is one name. I would take Chris Olave. That's it. Everyone else,
Oh, I didn't like Chris Olave. He was on my fantasy avoid.
is the only one I want. He's the only talent
At 26?
in this whole roster on this whole division. He's the only guy that's going to get worked. He's the only guy that's going to get reps. He's the only guy that's going to play a lot of games this year. I would take Chris Olave, and I would do the waiver wire for just about everyone else here. You mentioned Brooks for Carolina. If he gets it, that's great. But if it's anybody else, they're going to be on waivers. Grab that guy. This whole division is going to be waiver wire. So if you're not going to be excited to get any of them any of the weeks, if something has gone wrong enough that you are scouring the waivers. But there might be a gem out there on one of these teams. Somebody's going to get a big workload, and they might be going against one of these other bad teams, and who knows? Anything could happen.
That's why I was picking Jonathan Brooks as my buy, and I picked Hubbard as my avoid, where Brooks is just younger. And I'm thinking it's unlikely they just go straight 50-50 split. And I think everyone knows kind of what Hubbard's going to bring. These aren't Super Bowl teams, so you're trying to find out, hey, who can actually play? And so I think Brooks will get a lot of the run, and just being a younger guy, more likely to be healthy. And it just part of these with the buy in the avoid is at the price. And so at 99, all right, now you're looking at down the way, and you're looking at flex positions. So here's a spot to take a flyer.
Well, yeah, it's the whole division. We got 4 teams in here, and we're recommending player 99. It's a real special division, man. Real special. Moving on to the AFC South, which is also full of a whole bunch of special teams here. Last time we saw the Houston Texans, it's almost like burned into my memory of just how terrible CJ Stroud was. That it's kind of like, is he always like that? He's always been like that. He's just throwing to the ball of the other team. That's the only thing he knows how to do. And the reality is they were pretty good last year, and he was fine. And I think he'll be fine again this year. Do you think he's going to be able to overcome a pretty big embarrassment of a playoff performance the last time we saw him? But it was fine in the regular season, and he's fine this year. I think it's totally recoverable, and this team could still be really good. What are you expecting out of Houston this year?
I think you mentioned it for the NFC South of, if Stroud can just be cool. Just be cool. Just don't turn the ball over. I think the defense is going to build on what they had last year, and it's going to be a really good defense. And if Stroud can just be a game manager, they don't need him to be to go superhuman here. Like, this is going to be the team. This is going to be the team. But I think that the Jaguars are close, but I'm going to lean towards Houston just because I think that there's a better chance that CJ can just not be awful, and that their defense can be great more than the Jaguars will be able to do the opposite.
I agree that I'm trusting the Houston defense more than I'm trusting either quarterback play from Jacksonville or Houston. Even I'm not a huge Lawrence guy either. It's tough to convince me that you think he's going to be the guy this year. I think that the coach did everything last year, and I think it also really hurt what Tampa was doing with Baker prior, and Lawrence is just milking very, very good coaching out of all this. And I don't think that's going to be enough to overcome what I think is a fairly trusting defense in Houston that's going to get to play all these other teams here. It's just a way better bet on that. Now, the vibes are good in Jacksonville, though. I think they're totally capable of winning this division, especially if CJ isn't going to be, if he's anything like he was in that playoff game. And I just worry if he has one game like that, if the kind of the yips just kind of come back. Like, are you worried if we get off to a shaky start that this is just going to be rocky, or you think game 1 and things are just fine? And
I'm for sure concerned, because we've seen what happens when it goes all the way bad. And there's definitely going to be some confidence concerns.
Are you confident in Jacksonville, though? Like, we just trashed Houston, who had a pretty good year. Like, I mean, Jacksonville also solid year, but I would have said Houston had a better year than Jacksonville still, at least in the regular season.
Yeah, because I think Trevor Lawrence really stepped it up last year. If I tried to stay on the bandwagon for him, where it's like, hey, this is a guy that won a national championship in college, and I I stayed on for way too long, and then eventually I had to get off. I had to get off of it for my own safety. But last year he was good. But I think they're close. But I think that I've seen if he is not all the way dialed in, and I think that there's a better chance that he could fall off more than the Houston defense will fall off.
I agree. I still had Jacksonville second, seeing how they had a quarterback that, again, played last year. Daniel Jones is really good until he got hurt. The Colts, in general, were really good until he got hurt. Are we overlooking something here? I mean, Jonathan Taylor, as far as I know, is healthy. The defense is fine. This team might be missing, a couple of receivers here, but how good were those guys even to begin with? Like, what if Daniel Jones just comes back and he's in stride and he's what we last saw of him?
I think that we've definitely talked about this during the season, but even before Jones got hurt, that the Colts were a paper tiger, where it's like they're racking up these wins, but like you look at the teams that they beat, and when they folded in the second half, I think that was something we had called like a mile away of like, all right, cool, yeah, let them get their wins in here, but this is not. I'm not afraid of this team. Come the playoffs, and then for sure once Daniel Jones got hurt, and so he was playing well, but was this some sort of comeback, or was it just like a little flash in the pan? And he is coming off an injury as well. So I'm just not willing to put kind of all of my eggs in that basket, thinking like, oh no, they're just going to pick off right where they left off when he got hurt.
I really wanted to. I really did. Because I don't like the other quarterbacks. It's just that I kind of like the coaching in Jacksonville a little bit more than what we got going on in Indianapolis. And there's a whole lot of evidence to go against this. I'm going on what most recently we saw of Daniel Jones, which wasn't even a whole season. It was only a partial season. That I would dare say was close to dominant. Now, there's an entire career, if you expand a little bit farther, of that not really being the regular case. So I'm hoping that is the case, though. I thought it was fun when he was good. I thought it was fun when he just threw a huge wrinkle into all these other teams that still finished where they were supposed to finish. But at the beginning of the year, when Daniel Jones was like easily the best quarterback in this division, I think if you're Houston
easily
and Jacksonville, you're just biting your nails, being like, now what do we do? All right, so that leaves us the Tennessee Titans, who have a new coach and the same quarterback. I'm fine with the coaching. I like those guys where they were. I think bringing some defensive vibe into all this will be good for Saleh. The Dayball, I didn't think deserved to be fired out of the Giants, so that's another solid coach. The thing I'm not buying is I just don't buy the quarterback. I don't think Cam Ward's the guy. I don't think anyone they got on this team's the guy. I think the coaches more. I wish those guys were playing more than the players on this team. What can we say about Tennessee? You got some good vibes. Can we give anything?
This is a make or break year for Cam Ward, and I think it's going to be a break of nope, he's not the guy. We need to get somebody in the draft. I'll be interested to see how Salah does in Tennessee. Had the Jets job, but I mean the Jets have been bad for a long time, and they've tried different coaches. So just trying to figure out exactly what the issue is there. So I'm interested to see what second chance at a head coach, not in New York, not with the Jets, and seeing if he can make something happen.
Is there a scenario where Tennessee doesn't finish last in this division? Like, is there something I'm not seeing?
I could see the Colts. I could see that not working. Daniel Jones coming back from his injury and is more the more how he was on the Giants than how he was last year, and it just falls apart.
I can't see it. I don't think Cam's the guy. I don't the good games that everyone points to for Cam Ward don't seem impressive to me, and they're going to need a lot more, so much more than anything that they're calling success of the past. All right, so if Tennessee finishes last in this division next season, will they have the same quarterback? Will they have a new coach or a new quarterback?
New quarterback.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're eyeing the draft as well. I think they're rolling Ward out there as much as they can in effort to get that draft pick. Fantasy guys, is there anyone we like?
I like these are all definitely deeper on the buys. I like David Montgomery at 61. I do like Trevor Lawrence at 82. He's right at the start of a run of guys, and I think that if he can continue what he was doing last year, for sure not a premier fantasy guy, But if you are looking to kind of wait on quarterback, and he's at a good spot in the low 80s. Tyler Warren at 50, I'm thinking second year tight end. I think he could be even better than he was last year. And then a real long shot one is for the Titans. There was not a lot that I liked there, but Calvin Ridley at 146, where sometimes these young quarterbacks, like if you could just find an adult in the room, and I think Calvin Ridley might be able to be that adult in the room. But at 146, I mean, that's about as deep of a flyer as you can get.
I would draft Daniel Jones. Maybe not targeting, but more of like, all right, we didn't prioritize the quarterback. We're going to need somebody soon. I think this is where you're looking. And you just hope that he's throwing the ball as much as he was at the beginning of last year and is as accurate and making as many completions as he was. And I just think that's a solid bet at that point. The injury thing.
Would you rather have Daniel Jones or Tyler Shuck?
I think it's closer than you think. If I'm on the Olave train, probably Shuck, but it's close.
Okay.
They get to play these other teams. Like, there's not, like, what's the hard schedule for either team? New Orleans got the easiest schedule in the league.
I think that the AFC South is better than the NFC South.
Yeah. But I also think
they for sure were last year.
I mean, Daniel Jones would start on every team in the NFC South. I think he would start over almost every one of them. Maybe not Baker. But I think it would be, if they did a quarterback competition, or right now if Baker was asking for money and they could pay either Baker or Daniel Jones, don't ask those sort of questions, like anything we don't like, fantasy-wise.
I am going to, despite the nice things that I said, I'm going to avoid the Texans defense. I think they were really good last year, and I just think that somebody in your fantasy league is going to jump like way early on that. And just in general, the defenses, between the first and the fifth, there's just not that much of a gap. So let somebody else just jump way ahead and keep working on your bench depth. I don't like Bashal Tutin at 59. I think he just has a unique name, and it's just fun to say, and just that makes him go higher than he should. I don't like Jonathan Taylor at 7. I just this Daniel Jones. It's Daniel Jones. Last year, oh man, look at him. But like 2 years ago, a hurt Daniel Jones, and you want to be a part of that offense. It's just, it's 7. If he is not scoring consistently, you're toast. I want somebody more sure as my first round pick, and then I don't like Carnell Tate at 54. He's got Cam Ward back there. He's trying to figure things out as a rookie. I think that there's a lot of interest, in rookies, and they usually go higher, and so you have to pay the premium. And I just think in this situation, it's not going to be worth it. It seems like in the preseason, he's already not getting very many targets, and I don't like the direction that situation's going in.
How do you feel about Nico Collins? Too expensive?
I had Nico Collins last year, and it was a little bit of a roller coaster ride.
I think you should be excited to draft somebody at that position. If you're not excited to have Nico Collins at your team at that position, don't take him. But if you have any energy at all left of momentum of being like, yeah, I'm excited to have Nico Collins at, what are we looking at? Like 11, 8? What's up, somewhere in that range?
I'm seeing Nico Collins at 25.
Oh, way later. All right. Way later.
So third round, and I'm just looking at the ESPN, the default PPR rankings. They got him. Goes Breece Hall, Brock Bowers, Nico Collins, Olave, Garrett Wilson. So I guess that's kind of where you're starting to get to. You're not rock solid, but I think out of those guys, there's probably one that each individual person is going to be a little bit more excited for. So you know what? Maybe in that mix, maybe I do like Nico Collins a little bit more.
Yeah. He's going to get action. He doesn't get penalized for interceptions. They just get the ball back after pick 6.
Yeah, right. Yeah, make it happen fast.
All right. Other NFL news around the world here. Deshaun Watson, as he mentioned, has been announced as the starter for the Cleveland Browns. Is this, like, did he actually beat anybody in a quarterback challenge here, or is this, do you think he's signing up to take all the hits? Like, is this sort of a death row rotation here where it's like, you go first, and then he's next?
I think this is like just what we talked about with Tua and Penix of, all right, he was good at one point. Shedeur Sanders was what, a sixth round, 7th round pick last year? Like those guys, there's a lot of times those guys don't even make the team. So I don't even know if it's about getting hits. I think the coaches are looking around going, well, one of these guys got to go out there. Well, I guess this guy's got more experience. I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, let's go with this. We had the fun news cycle of he gets booed. He comes out and says, "Oh, well, it's not because of my play. It's other personal stuff that we all know about." And then the coach kind of looks at it and goes, "What are you doing?" And everyone else goes, "Come on, guy. What are you doing?" And so now he's had to come out a couple days later and apologize for calling out the fans. And it's just like, awesome. Awesome. The play is bad. The history is bad. You're getting paid a ton of money. Now there's just this PR. I'm not going to call it a nightmare, but now there's a PR just ring around the rosy of, all right, I said something. Now I have to apologize, and all for a team that is not going to be good.
He's like the high school quarterback that's got like his name on the Letterman, but his is just taped on. Like everybody knows it's not stitched. Like it's temporary. This guy's not going to be here. There's no reason anybody should treat him otherwise. He hasn't earned any reason to like get any sort of leniency from any of this fan bases. They paid him a ton of money. They gave up a ton to trade for him.
Guaranteed money.
Not only has he just not played well, he's been embarrassing as well. So like I don't think he deserves leniency from a fan base.
I can't think of a worse situation overall, like in any sport. Of there are legal off the field issues. There is an injury. They traded for him, so they gave up assets, gave him like the highest guaranteed money that's like ever been done, and it's been poor play. Like there's not been one silver lining, and like every point where it could have been, hey, this part isn't going well, but we got hurt. All right, well that happens sometimes, and he's doing great things in the community. All right, well nope, that's not happening.
He's not a fun topic, but we'll see what we get out of him this year. How many games does he play? Over, under 4?
Over. What are you gonna do? You gonna put Shador in there?
I think by week 4 we're done. I think this is gonna be bad. I think by week 2 they're gonna be like, is this it for Deshaun? I don't think like. I know he hasn't been good. How bad's he got to be done after 4 weeks? Like I think we're looking more likely at that reality than him coming back and making it through 8 games, 10 games, or whatever. There's no way. Other NFL news.
I think that they're paying him, so he's going to go out there, and I think if they had just drafted a first round rookie, then it's like, okay, have him go out there, make sure the rookie's ready, goes through some game days. All right, yep, throw him out there. But it's like, well, all right, we saw what Shador was last year. And clearly, they're not seeing much more out of him this year, or else he'd be starting.
I think Shador will play way more games this year. But we got to move on here. The New England Patriots have made a trade. We have traded wide receiver Kayshon Boutte to the Houston Texans for, what do we get? We got defense? What do we get, a corner? Safety? Something?
Safety, yep. Safety and a 7th round pick.
All right. That's fine. I mean, Texans, we talked about how good the defense is. I know this guy wasn't playing for them, but that might be more reality of the guys in front of him are pretty good. And I don't know, maybe whoever we got would be playing on other rosters. It's just not the Houston roster is the only upside I got of all this. But I feel like Kayshon Boutte is very similar as well, where I'm not saying I wanted to pay him, but we didn't have to pay him to the end of the year. We could have used him this year, right? Like, are you okay with this move happening before the season?
Always interesting when a move happens like this deep into the preseason. I just have to imagine that the wide receiver room was pretty full, and not everyone was going to make it out. And so if we could get some value for somebody, like here's where you get the value. I'm hoping getting a safety from the Texans. We just talked about how the Texans defense is good, so maybe this is something where Jalen Reed wasn't going to get as much playing time as he would like on the Texans, and the same way Boutte will get more playing time on the Texans than he probably would on the Patriots. But I mean, I enjoyed him, on the Patriots in the past 2 years. He tied with Hunter Henry for the most touchdowns. So I mean, he was out there. I mean, nothing crazy, but just one of the moves that I feel like we've been lucky to have a good organization, so you trust the organization. But if this was a bad organization, your immediate thought is like, oh no, what are we doing?
We weren't going to play him, and we weren't going to pay him. So I suppose if we got something in exchange for that we will play, that's better. I know we got A.J. Brown. It doesn't fill every single hole in the offense here. We still need other things, and I thought having a guy that at least was on the roster last year that understood somewhat of the offense and had some chemistry with Drake would have been worth holding on to for a second here. But, we got A.J. Brown, so forget everything else. Nothing else matters. That's the only thing we'll ever talk about on this offense. So I'd like being an offensive team for like half a season. I don't know if we're going to be an offensive team this year. Like, you think we're going to be a point scoring team? Like, you think like teams are going to be watching film on us, being like, we got to slow down the Patriots?
Yes, we have the MVP from last year. Yes, and we added AJ Brown.
That is a huge roundup. The MVP.
How is this a roundup?
Well, one, he didn't win, so that's a huge roundup.
If I keep saying it, people will start believing it. He was the favorite. He was the favorite, like the last month and going into the final week.
These are bad sources. This is factually incorrect. You're making things up. This is our credibility is I know what it is, but it is better than that. You just wrap everything up. Did you just unplug the microphone from us?
Something happened on my end. We had a little technical difficulty here. At the very least, it was a tie. That's as low as I'm willing to go on it.
No, all right. I understand you play to win the game. Then in the reality, when the end of
I just don't know how I'm looking at him as a MVP from last year. So I don't know why he wouldn't be in the mix this year with an even better offense. And you're saying like our team's gonna watch film on this guy. He led the league in deep throw percentage or distance or whatever it was. It was awesome.
He's good. I don't think we have a dominant offense. I don't think we're an offensive team. I still think if we want to win this year, it's going to be with defense. And sure, we'll have a couple highlights here and there. He'll make a couple nice fade routes, and AJ will jump up and catch some crazy stuff. Like, that'll be fun. But we're going to win on defense. We're going to win with Drake not turning the ball over.
This is why you think we're not going to be good, because you still think we got Mac Jones out there.
It really doesn't change. I think if he's just a game manager, we'll win most games. If he's going to be just slinging it, trying to win MVP again, I think we're going to see a lot more turnovers this year. I think you're going to be reserved, which will be a step forward in a lot of ways, though, where we just take care of the ball.
Last year, we had the second most points in all the land.
We will not have that this year. We will be nowhere near that. Not even close. Second? You think we're going to be second the best offense in the league?
I'm just telling you what we were last year.
And we're better? Like
you're talking about it like we're going to be like the 30th team in offense.
No, we'll be somewhere in between. Like, you just went one end of the spectrum to the other. I think we're somewhere in the middle. Is that fair? Like,
you're the one that started this off saying our team's going to watch our offense to plan for it.
I think they're going to be
about as low as you can get.
They're going to be much more worried about our defense. Hopefully.
They should be. Our defense was really good last year.
Other NBA news, moving on. Klay Thompson's going to Miami. This was a buyout situation from Dallas, freeing him up to sign with the Miami Heat. They desperately needed a shooter. They got a shooter. I think at this point in Klay's career, you could argue he's probably just a bench player, but maybe he'll start on this roster that desperately needs the shooting. And if you were to address the defensive deficiencies in Klay, it would be helpful to say, well, you know what? It's behind him. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bam Adebayo. So maybe this will work. One last hurrah for Klay. What do we think?
And if he can stay healthy, I am concerned because if you're Dallas, you're hoping you get Kyrie back. I don't think you're thinking, hey, we have a chance at the finals, but I think you're looking to not have this be another sort of tanking year. You want a competitive team around Coop. You get Lively back, and you start to start the ascension. If you're just like getting rid of Klay Thompson, I would think that would mean you think this guy's got nothing left in the tank.
Yeah. No, I think we're at that point though. What is Miami supposed to do though? There's a reason no one else got him, right? Like I think this makes sense for Miami. It wouldn't make sense for a lot of other teams. Other NBA news: DeMar DeRozan. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Klay played. I mean, he played 69 games last year, so he was pretty healthy. But I mean, only averaged 12 points, and so I don't know. Maybe that's if you're on a team that has Giannis and Bam. Maybe you're the one that helps space, and now if they have to go and double, maybe you're just going to get more wide open shots, and that'll rise up. But at 36, and just not even just like 36, it's just Dallas just saying, yeah, we're good. You go on. Maybe it was just like a really really nice thing to do, but I would think if there was any value, you would give up some value to get them in return. So if they're just cutting loose, that's a red flag to me.
Would you have rather signed DeMar DeRozan as he signed with the Denver Nuggets, who recently traded away this Peyton Watson deal that what did they give $80 million over there, and they got Max Strus back. So now Denver is not going to have Watson. They will have DeRozan and Max Strus as their additions going into this year. Would you have rather had DeRozan or Klay Thompson?
It's tough. They're around the same age. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh yeah, I watched a bunch of Kings games the past couple of years. But I mean, the past 2 years, he was averaging more like 20 points a game, and he's playing 30 plus minutes. So I guess I'm going to lean DeMar as well as he signed like a normal way. He wasn't bought out.
I like the argument. I don't disagree with it. I just think the shooting I could get out of Klay for all the teams that at this point the additions that these guys are going to be, I'd rather have the shooting than the desperate shot clock saving. I mean, what is DeMar really going to do for Denver here? Like, is he going to lead? Is he going to make more threes than he's ever made in his career this year, or is he going to take a dribble in and do a bunch of pull-ups? Like that's a weird.
I think as the Nuggets, if you're being cheap and letting Peyton Watson walk, like this is what you have to do. And I think this is the best out of. I think after DeMar, I mean, there's a reason these are the guys that we're talking about in August. It's because all the actually like really good guys that were taken a while ago.
You really think it was just being cheap with the Peyton Watson deal? Like I could argue that his shooting, that while he may eventually become a decent, if not good 3-point shooter, he wasn't going to be that this year. And I think Max Strus this year, again with 3-point shooting alone, is just going to help Denver more than I think Peyton would help for this year. The longer window, sure, Watson's got a way higher ceiling. His ceiling might even pop this year. I don't know, but based on what I saw last year, Denver doesn't have time to rebuild either. Like we're in it this year. We need Strus to shoot this year. We need Peyton Watson to make the corner three, and I don't think he was going to make it, especially for that damn money. I wouldn't entirely write it off as cheap.
Maybe it'll work out better with Strus. I mean, I guess it depends on which Strus shows up, but I think that it's not just this one specific deal. I think just time after time, the Nuggets have always gone with the cheaper route, and it's like, hey, you have one of the best NBA players of all time, and you should be doing everything possible. You could also look at it and go, that's what Milwaukee did, and look what happened. So I understand the hesitancy, but I think that it's up to them to try to do everything that you can, and I don't think that they're doing that.
Yeah, Jokic is coming to Boston next year. He's gonna fix it all. He's just gonna get up and walk from Denver. It's a short.
Well, no, he's gonna. He already said he's gonna sign.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I think Kyrie said the same thing to Boston. Yeah, I'm gonna resign in the offseason, but we'll wait to the offseason. We'll talk about it then.
I think these situations are a little bit different, but okay.
You're right. They'll probably pay him. I mean, if James Harden can still get some money, I'm sure Nikola Jokic can get some money. How's the man continue to do it? He's doing Cleveland 3 years. I don't know, 99 million, some 100 million. It's a lot of money.
It was 90 something. It was like 30 something per year. Yeah. Which was less than his option.
It was. What are we doing though? You think he's worth 3 years? You want 3 more years of James Harden?
I made the joke of anytime you have an average playoff team, you really have to make sure you do everything you can to keep the team together. Where it's like, all right, cool. I just like last year. I'm not afraid of the Cavaliers. And they're just getting older, and it's the same guys.
I don't think it's a tradable contract now either. This is a lot of money for what you're getting out of Harden. I think the Westbrook years that we just battled through are coming for Harden. I think the next couple of years it's just going to suddenly fall off a cliff. The shooting's going to go down. Free throws attempt. I have no idea what we're going to get. Maybe he'll be point guard Harden. Maybe that's the post career out of all this. That actually might be better. But if he's going to just be taking terrible threes, not playing any defense, or maybe not even playing a lot of games.
Defense.
3 more years, man.
I can't think of one guy. I can't think of one guy that got older and was like, now I'm going to play defense. Look at me lock in now.
Yep. Well, good for Cleveland. They spent some money. Can't ever call them cheap. Everybody got paid.
I still don't understand. I'm trying to look at the numbers where it's like the Nuggets like aren't able to do anything, but then like the Cleveland, which sure seemed like they were in a similar situation, and then it's like, oh yeah, we can add an extra 30 million, like no problem. Where it's like I still sometimes with this NBA salary cap of just I need it dumbed down for me somehow.
All right, anything else for the NBA?
I think the NBA was pretty quiet. No Kawhi news this week.
You want to talk some college basketball?
Always, yeah. It's John Shire's birthday today. Is that what you wanted to bring up?
No, I like that you came prepared. I like that you had to sneak that in. You did some research, and
you had me do some research. That wasn't even research. That's just my normal day to day.
Oh no way! You wouldn't have brought that up other ways. Where'd you see that?
I wouldn't have brought it up, but I knew it. I didn't need to do special research for that. Do you not know when Izzo's birthday is?
No, we don't keep track of those. He's 21 and that age forever.
Forever.
All right. I mean, how old is Coach K? All right. He's perfect. They don't ever change.
He's retired. You know, let him live.
Well, we've had some actual movement in college basketball. There's some players that we get into the 5th year kind of stuff here, but I thought Mark Mitchell signing with Kentucky was a pretty big move for them. I think this Kentucky team's really good. I think this is by far the best roster that Pope's put together. I think some of the issues of the past is maybe a chemistry thing, but I would bet on this year's team. I think this puts him a little bit more over the top. I thought this was a bigger move than you. You didn't even think this was going to make the rundown. I don't know if that's a bitterness. I mean, if he went back to Duke, would we be talking about it?
I don't think so.
Really? You didn't think he was that good? You don't think this is like a decent addition here? That they're just adding?
I mean, he's fine. I think it's just because it's so late in the cycle, because this is the 5th year and there's legal courts, involved for this, and it seems like it's happening by state, and each state is a little bit different. So I still don't know if this is all the way a done deal from like he will be in a Kentucky uniform. It just he was at Duke, for 2 years, but that was a few years ago. But I just think that right now it's a big story. But I think that if you were to line up all of the top guys, I don't know if he's at the tippy top here.
I think it's kind of a stealthy little addition here for this Kentucky team, though. I think they're going to get some defense out of it. I think he's just a competitive forward that is also hungry for one more year. I think you're going to get a good year out of him. I like the move. I think this is exactly the type of stuff, if you could do in August, you would do. I thought they were going to end up with Kohler, the Michigan State guy. He ended up going with BYU, but maybe they must have had eyes on this, and we'll see, as you said, what holds up in this 5th year sort of thing. They are doing it state by state. Each state has sort of different procedures. A lot of these procedures go about in different timelines, which is going to get you different results state by state, as well as there is a federal thing that's going on as well that gets you no timeline and will probably not help you at all throughout before the season starts. So there's a lot swirling in here. Is there anything you really wanted to get in you with this 5th year stuff? Like, is this a temporary thing? Like, we're going to fix this in a couple of years. I think rules have been made. We're just trying to close the book on old rules.
Yeah. So what happened is NCAA came out and said, all right, what we're going to do is going forward, it's just going to be 5 years, like from when you graduate high school, or maybe from when you turn 18 if you're international, and like that's all you get. So if you want a red shirt, like I don't think red shirt like really exists anymore. So it's just like you could play 5 years, but that's it. There's no after that. There's no delaying it. That's just it. But then the seniors this year said, well, hold on. With NIL, why are you making these rules? If I can come back to school to play for a 5th year, which if I was 1 year older, you'd be letting me do, or 1 year younger, you'd be letting me do. And now you're playing with my money. This is millions of dollars that I'm missing out on. And so it's even a little more messy, because there were guys that put their names into the transfer portal, and at the time, in April, was saying, why? Like, you're a senior. Like, you have no more years at eligibility. Why are you putting your name in there? But there's like this legal stuff that's going on where some of the judges, or I don't know if it's NCAA, it's all convoluted. It said, oh, if you're in the transfer portal, like, okay, then you're all right. Where Mark Mitchell didn't put his name into the transfer portal, but he was out of eligibility. So now is going and saying, hey, why does it really matter if I put my name in the transfer portal or not in April? Like, I want to do it now. So he was able to go through the legal process. And yeah, like I said, it's kind of happening state by state. It's definitely confusing. Similar to when we started the show with the NFL back to college. I want him to play. Not even just like a Mark Mitchell, former Duke guy or a Kentucky guy or just anything of, all right, well, if you're going to let the guys in the future play for 5 years, all right, have the guys that played this year just be grandfathered in. I don't care. Let them play basketball.
I think he's going to play a lot of basketball this year. I think he's going to be good. I think Kentucky will be good.
It does bump Kentucky up to the number 1 in the basketball or the transfer team rankings.
I like this roster. I do. I think there's something here.
What's your expectations? What's a successful season for them?
I think this team should win the SEC. I think that's
wow.
what we're starting with. So I think this team will be the best team in the SEC. Now
that's high, man.
The tournament problems, I can't say we fixed those. And for all I know, I mentioned they brought in all these new names. They don't have a lot of chemistry from last year. Not that the chemistry was good, so maybe it's good that they don't have any of that from last year. But again, like, this is a lot of new guys that have not played together, trying to figure it all out. But I do think this year, this roster, the pieces at least make sense together. And if they're healthy, that changes everything. Last year they weren't healthy, so I'm basing last year as not only as like a defunct year, but as it's an injury year as well. A lot of excuses. I don't think they're going to get any excuses this year. If things do not go well, I think this is the year that seat might get a little hot for Pope, man. I think it's already a little hot.
I think it was hot last year.
I think if they're not at least somewhat of a dominant team this year, this is a pretty blown opportunity.
I mean, it's August. It's very, very, very early, but a lot of talking heads are putting Florida at not just the top of the SEC, but the top of college basketball. So for Kentucky to get over that, especially with the way things have gone recently, and yeah, I think Pope is already on the hot seat, not just because of what's happened in March and what's happened in the SEC. Is just he's been getting his butt kicked on the recruiting trail. I mean, was able to get these, Mark Mitchell, but lost Kohler, and it sure seemed like they were really interested. And it was a quick pivot afterwards, but it's been like multiple guys this year that they've lost to BYU. That's where he came from, and so I don't know if that's just a coincidence or what. But it's like you're losing transfers, you're losing out on recruits, which that is something that Cal never did. And so I think at Kentucky, you just think, hey, we have this program. How are you messing this up? We have one of the top brands, in the league. Do you keep messing this up time after time? So it's just like a combination of all of these things. Where if it was winning or recruits, but it's like if you're messing up all of it, it's only going to last for so long.
I think it's fair to critique Kentucky and Pope in that way, but I also think it's fair to say that a lot of teams are going to be losing out to BYU. The funds are flowing, man.
They sure. Hey, they really are.
So
they really are. It's a good thing to remind people of when you go, wow, why BYU? It's like, yep, they got some money that other places don't have, and they're able to splash that around.
That sounds like an excuse that Kentucky probably shouldn't have. I mean, like, well, we didn't have the money to match it, but I'm telling you, there's a reasonable amount of money, and there's the money that's being spent at BYU right now, and I just said I don't think it was Kentucky that didn't make a fair offer. It was probably more BYU. I'm assuming just made an offer he couldn't refuse, man. That's how this is working right now. We're talking money, especially for a guy. This is the last year. Kohler's probably not an NBA guy. This is gonna be it. This is the last payday. Would you blame yourself if I can go to Kentucky for X money or I can go to BYU for more money? Where are you going?
I could definitely see, like, that's why he went to BYU.
Who knows for sure? Maybe it's a religious thing as well. And one last hurrah, I'll do it at BYU. Who knows? I don't know enough about any of the guys. Kohler, obviously a former Michigan State guy. I would say the most reliable guy of the past couple of years from Michigan State. I would have been very excited to see him on a Kentucky roster. We'll see what BYU's got. And again, heavy spenders over there. Maybe he went to another good team. Who knows? Other college basketball topics or college anything? You want to do a little college football? We could do week 0 stuff. You got anything?
There's it is basically just that there is college football this weekend. I did mention that the USC is the one ranked team and they are favored by 38.5 points. It is interesting that we mentioned this a while ago, but the North Carolina TCU game that starts everything off, that is going to be in Ireland. So I don't know. That's always fun to me when you see those games going on. But it's just more of, if you are just looking to scratch that itch, it is available.
Oh, I guess we'll wrap everything up here. Enough college football talk. Nobody cares about all that. But it's exciting to have games matter. Next week, we'll do the NFC, AFC West. It'll close out our NFL divisions. The following week after that, September 7th, we'll do our first NFL week picks. Week 1. The season will be starting. Are you ready? 2 more weeks, man. Drafts are coming around the corner. Fantasy. Tis the season.
Fantasy is happening, and the season starts a day earlier. It starts on a Wednesday, not a Thursday. So you keep that in mind as you're trying to squeeze in these fantasy drafts all on top of each other.
Everything's coming down to that Tuesday for me. I don't know why. Everyone's like, we want to be as close to. I get it. Is then the injury thing doesn't happen, or it's already happened from the preseason. But we can't all do the same day. I'm doing too many things at the same time. I'm in too many leagues. This is the new flaw. I'm going to end up just hiring out other people to do all these drafts. I can't keep an eye on 3 drafts at one time. Is there a solution out there? Is this what AI is for?
I don't think this is what AI is for, but maybe it is. Maybe you have a little fantasy agent that can help you track this and make picks. But I think maybe you just need to be a little bit stronger at the front and say, hey, maybe we vote. Maybe we vote on when the draft date and time is.
See, there are votes in some of the leagues. And when 8 people out of the 10 or whatever are like, yeah, it's fine, I'm supposed to be the one. I'm like, this is the we have 9. Do you want to play ball or not play ball? Like, I'm not going to say no. It's not impossible.
But also, this isn't a surprise. You know this going in. There are tools in place where you can set up, like the auto draft sort of rankings if you accidentally are looking at the wrong one. So it's for sure a little more homework on your end, but there are tools in place to help you.
I kind of already operate under that. Everything goes into the rankings, the auto draft of it. The only thing that's not cool, and I've been in drafts like this too, where I think other people are doing it, is it just takes forever. Because suddenly I'm going from picking within, I don't know, let's say 2 minutes, to now the whole 2 minutes ticks and the auto draft goes off. I wish I could just turn that off and just skip right to the pick. But anyways, we'll be back next week. Little column A, little column B. Follow us where you get your podcast. You can follow Zach on his X account, which is
Wicked Z-Man 24.
More football next week.
Little column A, little column B.